facilitate, you know, discussion, continue way ahead of the end. Again, with the economic times, what can we do? So that's where you say I love it. And one of my other primary roles is especially when and so Farnborough was quite interesting. And then we had tax and setting down like market.
And she'll be able to join it.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
No longer getting phone calls at 2 a.m. 3 a.m.
Yeah. A few years ago now.
It's kind of like going through something. You suffer together. We tried to talk our younger son, who's here at the American School, into rowing. We tried to.
It's hard times.
No, I meant
Unless these things really get sorted out, remember you don't go for that harmony. I'm saying you can shoot what's happening with these. There's a demonstration of everything just needs to be put down. Everybody knows what's going on. So at the end of the day, it's everything.
Thank you very much indeed to everybody for coming along today. We've got pretty much a full house here, so I hope you're going to be comfortable. You look sort of slightly squashed at the back there, but I hope you're going to be comfortable, and I hope you will find the presentations from our two speakers and the film which we're going to show to be of such interest that you will be very pleased that you've come along today to join us for this event. I think there are numbers of people in this audience who are here because of their interest in and concern for the values of human rights globally. And I'm sure that there are many of you who have lots of knowledge and experience of issues of human rights in many areas of the world. My name is Baroness Prosser. I'm a member here in the House of Lords, and I'm also the Deputy Chair of the Equality and Human Rights Commission. We are the guardians of human rights in Britain, that's England, Scotland and Wales, and we are the recognised body for Britain by the United Nations and within Europe. So human rights is very, very close to our hearts and to the work that we do. On a more personal level, or a very personal level, I went in the autumn of last year just on a holiday tour with a friend to Indochina. We merely stopped off in Thailand to change planes. Our trip was through Laos, Vietnam and Cambodia. But I mentioned that because it was so plain when speaking to people in those countries that the traumas of war which those countries have suffered, in particular of course Vietnam and Cambodia, are a daily presence with the people of those countries still today. And we all, I'm sure, hope that the work that is currently being done by people like yourselves, and of course many, many people in Thailand, will help to ensure that the good people of Thailand will be able to move forward with a country that has a transparent, open and honest regime. Numbers of people would say that what took place in Thailand was one of the worst human rights abuses that people have seen for a long year. Not only, of course, are our thoughts with the atrocities that took place there, I'm sure also many of us are looking at what's going on currently in the Middle East and hoping against hope that those demonstrations will conclude without any more violence and will conclude with a happier and again more transparent regime for the people of those countries. But back to Thailand, we mustn't forget that in April and May of last year, when the uprisings took place, 92 people were killed. 92 people demonstrating for what they saw as freedom and an opportunity to express themselves freely and openly, and thousands, of course, were injured. Many of those people fired upon with heavy weaponry, which particularly we would be grateful for in this country. We would say, that's not really what we see here. It's not what we see here. Let me just quote you something that was said in the Wall Street Journal. Last year's protests triggered the worst political violence Thailand has seen in decades. As the demonstrations dragged on, they became increasingly violent, and the army began to take a more active role in pinning down the protesters. Some neighbourhoods were cordoned off with razor wire, designated live fire zones before the protests were finally broken up on May the 19th, amid bitter street clashes. Among those 92 tragedies, 2 journalists were killed. And we have here, sitting on my right, the sister, Elisabetta, the sister of Fabio Polenghi, who was a freelance photographer working in Thailand. And on my left, representing the tragedy that took place, is Wan Ravi. And we're going, first of all, to see a very short film, and then after that film, we're going to hear from our 2 guest speakers. So thank you once again for your attendance. We're going to see the film now. We'll go over to the guest speakers, and then there will be an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you may think. Can I just make one very small housekeeping point? We have an official camera here which is recording our proceedings. There will the proceedings will be, and the film will be on the internet. In order to film or to use a camera within the Palace of Westminster, you have to have a permit. So please, anybody who has a camera or a mobile phone which takes photos, please do not use it, because if you don't have a permit, it's not allowed. So thank you very much, and we'll watch the film.
Deadline passed in Thailand for anti-government protesters with red shirts to leave their fortified camp. So far, 35 people are known to have died in the violence there. More than 200 have been wounded as well. Protesters called out end negotiations with the government. Taking heavy fire from automatic weapons to keep straight just in front of me. Bangkok, now a bank. Thailand's separate political crisis has exploded. Being fired by one of those soldiers back down the street. Loprds-Rushes, but succumbed to his bullet wound. On Monday, Japanese Prime Minister Yukio Hatoyama expressed his regret over the death of the Japanese national.
I would like to express my deepest regret over the death of Mr. Muramoto, and I would like to send my condolences.
Which is nowhere near
thank you very much, everybody. That's very, very moving, and I'm sure for those people who have immediate knowledge of and associations with some of those atrocities, that must be very, very upsetting for them. I must apologise to you because earlier I didn't mention Hiro Muramoto, which of course I should have done. I know that there are people here from Reuters representing the Reuters agency. But let me ask now for Elisabetta, the sister of Fabio Pelenghi, who you saw there in the film, and Elisabetta is going to speak with us. Elisabetta.
Good morning. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry about my English. I hope that I will be clear enough. And I came here and thank everybody who's helped this day to be done. And I'm here because after 8 months, I've never had answer about what happened, even not a right line from Thai government. And so, but I won't stop ask for knowing the truth. So this is the main point. I was invited to be at a party for a king birthday by the Thai embassy in Rome, and I obviously taken this invitation as something that couldn't be upset me, because of course I don't need to go to parties for any truth. I need to know what happened, and I want to know what happened. I think I start in this situation to a good collaboration with Thai investigations and institutions. I went to Bangkok twice. I tried to help and to help because I could got in touch with colleagues of Fabio that were there, so they were a witness. They helped Fabio to go to be rescued at the hospital, so I met these...
Could you speak up a little, because people at the back find it difficult.
I'm sorry.
Just a little louder.
I would try.
Your English is very good, but a little louder.
Okay, okay. So, I was in the... When I heard about this, what happened to Fabio, I took the flight the day after, and I went to Bangkok to try to get in touch with colleagues of Fabio and to understand what happened that day. And I took this situation at the moment very strong as a sister, but as well as a photographer. I'm a photographer as well. So I got to Bangkok and I tried to get in touch and to talk to people to understand what happened. I knew my brother. My brother wasn't a person who was easily going to very dangerous situation. He used to work out very well the situation, and he knew very well Bangkok. So it didn't was there moving in an unsensible way. So I went there and I could understand that. And after the second time I went there, I got even some videos from YouTube that shows very well the circumstances, how Fabio was shot. And I couldn't see around Fabio no one man armed. With the men that were around Fabio most of them were journalists. Some demonstrations had just bamboo sticks or slingshots, and so that was very impressing me, because I wonder why at that moment snipers were shooting so much, as I was told by a witness that was there. And after 7 months that I haven't heard about the investigation department of Thailand anything about what happened, I'm still wondering what happened, why. and all the things I read about Thailand, about what witness says about what happened that day, and it looks to me that shows an important environment of the government, of the army. So I'm here to ask to European community to push to know the truth. Fabio was a journalist. I talked to some other journalists, and 3 or 4 days before the day 19, they had on their phone SMS saying that journalists were on target. And so I was told that they met with my brother, some friends from colleagues met the day before to discuss what to do, to sign themselves with press so that they were being recognized, or not to sign themselves because they didn't know this SMS was something arriving by who nobody knew and why. And at the end they decided to mark themselves to put press, because anyway it would have been dangerous anyway not to be marked, not to be. So after 8 months I wonder, and I putting together all these things, I wonder if that SMS was something very serious, because Fabio was shot by one gunfire, high speed probably, and was shot through the heart. So it's very strong and as far as Thai government doesn't give me any answer, then I ask what should I think about this. And I'm trying also to understand what can I do. The problem is for me to understand and to help. I'm not doing a political fight with Thailand. I'm just looking for human rights. I think that Fabio death have to be an occasion to talk about problems for photographers, for journalists that every day are killed. During the 2010 year, 110 journalists have been killed in the world. So this is a very high number. And it can't be that people who are around the world to make us know what happened are so easily killed. Because, and I think, I don't want to be wrong, but there is a very high percent about this death. They are not having justice. So I think this has to be a problem that European nation that have to deal with. So the point to me is to help this kind of, to know the truth about what happened to Fabio, but as well to give a sense to his death, trying to push out this kind of issue of human rights and freedom of information. I opened an association for Fabio, and what we say is the freedom of information guarantees human rights. For us, Fabio was there to guarantee human rights, and probably this was why he was killed. So to me it's very important to know and to let and to make this issue talk about the rights of being journalist, the right of doing the job, and the right for people like us that are on their chair and having the news. This can happen just because people like Fabio are there, risking their life. So when someone like Fabio, and Hero, of course, Hero, got killed, then there have to be journalists, which are colleagues, pushing for the truth, helping us to find out the truth, to talk about human rights, and to talk about what happened. That is my point of view. I'm having a very hard job in Italy as well for this, because Fabio in this moment from Italy is looking like if he wasn't in Italian. It's very strange. They look to Fabio like if he was a foreign people, like if he was not Italian, like as this happened to him very far away. Fabio get into the news from international news. So it's since this happened, very few persons have demonstration to me interested in what happened. I'm trying to push Italian journalist media to take care about what happened to Fabio, but it's very hard. So this is one of the reasons because I'm here. And I thank you to be here, to came here and let me talk to you and to be here to listen to me. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Elisabetta. I'm going to move straight over now to Juan Ravi, and then there's going to be an opportunity for people to speak, but I want to ask you a question myself.
Yes.
But Juan Ravi is from Thailand and is going to speak to us about her knowledge and experiences of her family and how they came through what happened last year in Thailand. So Juan Ravi, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests of the House of Lords. I have to express my gratitude for allowing me the opportunity to speak in front of you here about the overview of the human rights situation in Thailand with regards to the crackdowns in April and May 2010. Actually, I work for the People's Information Center April to May 2010, or called PIC in short. We are the coalition consists of academics and human rights lawyers and activists. Our main task is to conduct fact-finding and also to gather information as systematically as possible about what happened in April and May. Actually, we're supposed to have 3 other colleagues coming along. They are the relative of the victims who got killed, the mother of the nurse who you just saw in the presentation, and also the boy who got shot in his eye. But their visas got rejected on the ground that they didn't have sufficient funds in their bank account. But we still doubt about it, because they haven't been given interviews with the media before applying for the visas. So after I introduce my work, I would come to the overview of the human rights situation in Thailand. From the surface, you all may see that Thailand has come back to the normal situation. It seems like people in Thailand living in peace again, but actually we're still living under one of the most repressive regimes. During the crackdown, 92 people got killed and more than 2,000 people got injured. this is the first time in Thai history that the government in conflict still remain in power. Never happened before in Thai history. And so far, none of the perpetrators were brought to justice. I'll just give you the brief background before the crackdown. The Red Shirts convened a demonstration in Bangkok since March 2010, and by 7th of April, one of the hardcore leaders from the Red Shirts invaded the parliament, and then the government used that as the excuse to impose the emergency decree on the relatively peaceful demonstration, and that had led to the restriction on freedom of expression, freedom of media, freedom of association, and it also allowed for the military to step in and use force against mostly unarmed civilians. We have been gathered a lot of information, and we got the first-hand information from the victims themselves and also from the relatives of the families of the victims. We have to say that we're not representing the absolute facts, and we just try to put different pieces of facts so that the society can put together like a jigsaw to be able to see the bigger picture of what really happened in Thailand. According to our records, 92 people got killed, more than 2,000 people got injured. 89 of them died during the demonstration in Bangkok, and 3 of them later died in the clashes in different provinces. And among them, 6 of them were professionals like medics and journalists, and 9 of them were the state officials like soldiers and police. The rest were the civilians, mostly unarmed. And from the data that we got, like we have interviewed a lot of journalists who got injured. They said clearly that they have been targeted, just like what the sister of Fabio said. They were not sure whether they should wear the journalist badge with them or not, because they have been warned that they may be targeted. And also the medics. I myself have interviewed one of the medics who was on that duty on the 14th of May when the government declared a tightening of cordon, basically to surround the demonstrations. And he said that at that time, there were a group of demonstrators trying to run away from the soldiers. The soldiers were equipped with arms, and when the soldiers got to them, the soldiers asked whether they are part of the demonstrators, but they refused, and they showed that they are the medics. They were wearing uniform, and they opened the ambulance car to see that there's nobody hiding in the ambulance. But just right after the conversation ended, one of the soldiers who were just 10 minutes away fired bullet right into the ambulance. And at that time, there was one of the medics hiding inside. He was trying to switch on the light so that the soldiers can see that there's nobody hiding inside. So the bullet went through his arms, and he lost a lot of blood. He was taken to the hospital, but on the way back, to get out, one of the medic team was asking why the soldier have to shot right into the ambulance. The soldier said that because you were throwing things at us, and we got angry. So it's clear that the soldiers were not in a condition to perform their duty. They were angry, they suffered a lot of emotional, psychological as well. And also after that, I got to interview this medic in the hospital, and the medic said that the Prime Minister just visited him. So it's sure that the Prime Minister learned of this incident. But later, when I called him and asked about his health condition, he refused to talk about me further because he said that he has been given a good treatment by the government and the Royal Army. But at least we cannot refute that this incident actually happened, and it's done with the medic who doesn't have any, didn't have any weapons with them. It's not according to what the military said that they have done according to the rule of engagement or the international standards on the use of force, where they only shoot for the self-defense, or if it's clear that the other side have the weapons in possession. Yes, and so apart from the issues of the death and injured, we also work on the issues of detainees. Right after the crackdown, there's actually during the last day of the crackdown on the 19th of May, there's a parallel demonstrations in different provinces. Mostly because the people in other provinces, they feel anger about what happened in Bangkok. They saw their friends being killed. So when I interviewed some of the people there, they say that some people try to burn down the provincial halls because the provincial halls symbolize the power of the authority. So when they got angry, they wanted to burn down. And that has led to a lot of people being charged under the arson and also the terrorist acts. But what we found was that the authority has issued a lot of blanket arrests against the civilians without clear evidence. They only use the pictures which is taken during the demonstration, doesn't say exactly that they were involved in the arson themselves. And also that has led to a lot of people being arrested. And we have called for the government to release the names of people under the arrest warrants. But up until now, the government never released the names. And that's also related to the issues of enforced disappearance. Because we have some cases reported when missing, but we cannot find out whether they're still in hiding because they were scared that the government will be keeping an eye on them, or they actually being disappeared. Yeah, and apart from that, we also got the complaints by the relative of the Red Church guards who have been assassinated. And at least 5 of them have been assassinated. But the government were refused that they were involved in the assassination, and they said that it may be done by domestic dispute or a personal relationship. But we have quite clear evidence that these people have been hunted by the government before. And actually today, the groups of the relative going to go to the UN office to hand the case to the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, and also for the Police Bureau to investigate their case again. Apart from that, I would like to emphasize on the issues of the freedom of expression, because even before the demonstration took place in Bangkok, the government already imposed the Internal Security Act on the people, which restricted the freedom of expression of the media. And even right after the crackdown, the government were talking about reconciliation, let's reconcile and move on. But at the same time, they still imposed the emergency decree. People are still living in fear, in climate of fear. And according to ILO, the NGOs that working on the freedom of media, in 2007, the court ordered to block 2 URLs of the website. But in 2009, it had increased up to 705 URLs. And in this year, there were 39 orders by the court to block 43 43,000 URLs. So you can see that there's a continued censorship of the media, especially the red shirt media. And also, the government also blocked the website that has been deemed less majestic. About 57,000 of them have been blocked so far. Yeah, this is the overview of the human rights situation. Maybe if you have further information, further questions, you can ask me.
Thank you very much indeed, Juan Ravi. Very informative and obviously very worrying and upsetting. Now it's over to people in the audience. I'm going to take probably 3 points at a time, and I would be very grateful if you would say which organisation you're representing, if you are doing so. So let me see some hands, please. Lady there, please.
I'm not representing anybody apart from the human rights cause. Elisabetta, have you tried through your ambassador in Bangkok to contact the foreign minister to see if we can get some sort of cooperation in that direction to find some details of what happened to your brother?
Sorry, Elisabetta, can you just hold on a sec, because if we might have some other questions and then we can deal with them in one go.
Yeah.
Please. Can you say who you are?
Yeah, I can. I'm Brad Adams. I'm the Asia Director at Human Rights Watch. And we've been working on this subject for a long time. I think you're very brave to come here, and I think it's very important that individual cases be pursued, because sometimes when people hear a large number of abuses, they can't focus, and it all becomes political, and the individuals are forgotten. So I'm glad that you are doing this, and we would support your efforts. I don't expect much from the Italian embassy, and the Japanese embassy has also been very bad. A few years ago, a Japanese photographer was killed in Burma during the protests. The Japanese government didn't lift a finger. And usually this is because they have other interests. And they have other interests. And I don't know what the Italian government's interests would be, but I just want to add a couple of points, if I may. Your overview is very similar to ours. The problem in Thailand is that for decades there has been impunity. So this is not the first time that people have committed these kinds of crimes, and the investigations either haven't happened or have led nowhere. In 1992, the military slaughtered a lot of people in Bangkok. Under Prime Minister Thaksin, there was the Krusei massacre, the Takbai massacre. Your staff suggested I could make some points, so I'm going to take the opportunity.
There are lots of people here, so.
And there is impunity. The problem is that the military has all the cards. They're supported by the palace. And this is really a fight between the palace and the military on one side, and Thaksin and some of the red shirt leaders on the other side. I do want to add just 2 quick points. One, the document that was circulated today suggests that Bangkok was burned by people acting on behalf of the government. All the evidence is the otherwise. And I think it's very important not to make a mistake here and become political about this. There was a campaign, there was a plan to burn Bangkok after the protesters were attacked. And that was executed by the red shirts. Second, I find it very disturbing that Thaksin's lawyer is the person taking the case to the International Criminal Court. Thaksin was responsible for 2,800 deaths in a war on drugs in 2003. He was responsible for many more serious abuses. The important thing here is to go after everybody. The army is responsible, the government is responsible, the red shirts are responsible. I fear many of the protesters were used by red shirt leaders, just like many of the yellow shirts have been used by the military. And if this campaign is to be successful, you must go after everybody who's responsible and not take sides.
Okay, thank you very much. Please.
Can I ask a question? It will be a question.
Can you tell us who you are and stuff?
My name is Abdullah Gero. I'm a student from SOAS University.
From SOAS, yeah?
My question will be more addressed to you. What is the official position of the UK government with regard to the situation in Thailand? What I'm getting at is that the current Prime Minister is UK born and UK educated. He went to the same school as David Cameron, so I wanted to UK can have more of a say on the situation, and if they do, what our plans are for Thailand.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'm going to answer that question first, and now I'm going to ask Elizabeth for responses to the direct questions that have come. First of all, I am not a representative of the United Kingdom government. I am a member of the House of Lords. I sit on the Labour benches, so my party is in opposition at the moment. What I would say is, when we were talking informally about the fact that the Thai Prime Minister has a British passport, supposing he gets chased out of Thailand, what is the UK government going to do? Are they going to say, no, you can't come here, even though you have a United Kingdom passport? It's going to put the UK government in a very tricky position. I think the point that was being made by our friend over here, in terms of the attitude of embassies towards what's happened in Thailand, I think every single government's foreign policy is mucky. Every single government's foreign policy is based upon what's good for them and their country, no matter really what it means oftentimes for other countries. The reason that people are being supportive, or international governments are being supportive of the protesters on the square in Cairo at the moment, is because the alternative for Egypt to, in the view of the American government or even our own government here, Egypt to fall into the hands of the Muslim Brotherhood is unthinkable. So anything that they can do to make sure that that doesn't happen. So that's why they're being supportive of the people on the square and not supportive of Mubarak, because if Mubarak hangs on too long, the people will look for alternatives. So I think you always have to look at foreign policy and recognise that it's pretty grubby generally. But I can't answer for the United Kingdom government. I don't know what they would do. Thailand is geographically pretty important, and therefore, kind of remaining on side with the Thai government, I would say would be something that they would want to do. But that's enough from me. The Italian ambassador, have you done anything? And can I add my question to that as well, which I was going to ask you? How about the International Union of Journalists? What are they doing on the death of two members of the Journalists' Union? Because generally speaking, the international trade union movement, and I speak as somebody who worked for the trade union movement for over 20 years, the international trade union movement is usually pretty good on these sorts of things. They're very strong networks. I'm surprised, if they haven't done anything. Perhaps you can tell us. And then I'm going to come over to your good self.
Well, the only association that I have met, because they are probably very strong in Thailand, I don't know, was the CPJ organization from New York.
Committee for the Protection of Journalists.
Yeah, committee from, yes. So, and then I got in touch as well with Reporters Sans Frontières. That they have not so strong like the CPJ. From the others, actually, I didn't heard anything that have been done. You have to consider that I'm moving as a civil. I'm a freelance, like my brother in this case, and trying to bring out an issue by my own. So to me, it's very difficult to get in touch with in a huge sea of associations and organizations. So I'm trying to do my best, but not so easy to move in this world, which is as well new for me. And about the embassy, as I was saying before, I didn't finish, sorry about this. And I worked with my embassy, Italian embassy, since the first moment I went to Bangkok. And we, the family, try to be very collaborative with the Thai institutions. I went to the DSI investigation place to understand that was in July, to understand at what point was the investigation on Fabio's, and at that moment I find out that they were investigating into another person, and they were investigating into another person that was wounded 2 hours late, not even at the same place where Fabio was killed. So at the end of July, what I had from the Thai investigation was that they didn't even know where Fabio was killed. I knew everything about Fabio, where he was killed, at what time, even at the second of the time. And I was already been there 48 hours after Fabio was killed. I took some pictures, I met witnesses, I talked to them, and I knew a lot of things that the institution, Thai institution that was investigating did not know. So then I said to them, well, now it's a good point. I took my picture about the man that stole or taken the camera, because Fabio's camera was taken away by a man that was an Asiatic man, and with a group of journalists, we look out to understand if this man was from a journalist, a Thai journalist, or someone, but no one knows this man. The 2 of June, I gave to the Thai embassy in Rome picture of this man, very clear picture of this man. They couldn't find out his identity. So I was trying and I gave very much time and very much even staff to the DSI investigations. I gave them video clip that reports Fabio 8 seconds more or less before he was shot. And that inside that videos is very clear the circumstance where Fabio was shot. I gave images of the men that took away the picture, that took away the camera of Fabio, and I gave as well to DSI the name of witness I was in contact with. And one of these witness was met the week after. But happened also these things. The day after I went away, this man had thieves in his apartment, and this thief took away his camera and his computer. And we don't know why. Anyway, this is what happened. Now the Italian embassy is working with the Thai government and the Thai institution to look for the truth, but what the Italian embassy is doing is just working like waiting from the Thai institution to have response, to have a reply, to know, but it's not, to me, is not enough. This case of Fabio should be a case where the Italian government take a strong position to Thai government to push for the truth. If the Italian government just wait to have answers, then happen what is happening now. And it's that after 8 months, I didn't have a line that tells me what happened to Fabio. So I'm not doing, I repeat, I'm not doing a politically, to answer to you. I don't even know what Taskin did in Thailand. I don't even know. I'm very difficult to understand even the Italian politic. So I cannot understand the Thai politic. Question or problems. I understand that it's very difficult to get into these issues, political issues. That's why I'm moving like a civilian and I'm moving like a freelance. and I'm meeting everyone. I don't care, as far as I can talk about what happened, about human rights, about freedom of information. I can go with anyone to talk to about this issue.
Majority of them were unarmed, and that what happened in April and May for us was defined as state violence against mainly unarmed civilians, not the clash between the government and the armed groups. And also, I think the most fundamental questions that human rights organizations, international organizations or human rights organizations in Thailand have to ask is that, is it legitimate for the Thai government to use the armed force against unarmed civilians, especially to impose the emergency decree on the relatively peaceful demonstration? Because you see the danger of the emergency decree, that it restricted the freedom of the media. Most of the media, red shirt media, have been shut down. People got panicked. They don't know what happened at the demonstration sites. And this has created a lot of climate of panic in the country. And also to allow for the military to step in, because in the normally in the public disorder, the police would be used to control the crowd. But this is not the case in Thailand. The government used the military in full force, come in full force to disperse the demonstrators. The government said that they only use live rounds against the demonstrators after it's clear that there's men in black who came out on the night of the 10th of April. But according to our information, the government already used live rounds against people during the daytime, during the demonstration at Makarawan Rangsan Bridge. So I don't think that that's the appropriate reasons for the government to legitimize the use of live rounds against the demonstrators. Even the army commander, General Dao Pong, he mentioned that this is not the normal crowd control, but it's the war zone. The government, the army were mobilized in full force to disperse the demonstrators. I think this is the very question, the heart of the question that human rights organizations have to ask themselves. And also, I think that when you try to say that somehow the cause of the people for the democracy in Thailand has been politicized and always associated with Thaksin, I think this is not fair for most of the people. I forgot to ask to read the statement by one of the participants who would not be able to come here. So let me read it. This is from Mr. Santipong Injan, the 24-year-old boy who got shot in his eye. He said that, "My participation is not out of love for any particular persons. I joined them because my rights were taken away from me by the coup in 2006. Our struggle has always been peaceful and unarmed."
Would you like me to read it? I did not believe they would dare killing their own people in cold blood, but they did. And they did it without any restraint and with no reservation. A rubber bullet was shot into my right eye and immediately blinded one side of me. They would have killed me if there was a second chance. I ask myself to this day, why the elders of Thailand, whom I have believed to have loved me so much, could do such an act. In fact, the answer is almost too clear. There is no saint in Thailand's ruling class, as we were led to believe, and their grip on the ultimate political power is much more important than our worthless lives. Not only Thais who have suffered, but for an observer like Mr. Polengi, who was a reporter from Italy, was also shot in the chest and killed. Again, the question is why?
Thank you. Actually, after the crackdown, the government set up the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to investigate what happened in the April and May crackdowns. But there's a question of legitimacy because this body has been set up by the order of the government in conflict. And also they don't have the authorities to call the relevant parties to submit the information. Unlike the National Human Rights Commission, they have this authority to call all the parties to submit the information. And actually they also set up the subcommittee to investigate the incident. But 2 months later, 4 members of the committee resigned in protest because there no progress in the commission at all. And we also see the clear double standards of the National Human Rights Commission. After the crackdown, the National Human Rights Commission said publicly that they can file cases against those who burn down the buildings, but they never mentioned any single words about those who have been killed or injured, even up until now. And actually, they're supposed to submit their reports about the actual incident within 122 days after the crackdown. But until now, we only see the silence from the part of the National Human Rights Commission. So this is clear that the relevant body that's supposed to do their job is not functioning anymore. That's why we, as People's Information, we see that if we really need to have a truth to come out and for the country to move on, we need all sides to be able to talk about truth, to reveal the facts that they experience. But mostly there's not much space for red shirts people to talk about their experiences. So this is just one of the efforts that we try to do. That's all.
Well, it's virtually time for us to close our session this lunchtime, our event. I want, of course, to thank all of you for coming along, but in particular, of course, I want to thank our speakers. Juan Rabi, who clearly has such a close association and detailed knowledge of the nature of the campaign and the reasons behind the campaign and the effects, of course, of those actions in the spring of last year. And of course also Elisabetta Polengi, who has suffered the really sad loss of her brother and has spoken to us so eloquently of how she found out about all that and what she has tried to do and what she's continuing to try to do to find out the truth. And I think it must be almost as hard to deal with the fact that you don't know precisely what happened, you can't find who is precisely responsible. That's just as hard, I think, to bear as the knowledge of a person dying. Anyway, so I think we are blessed with having had the opportunity of hearing firsthand from our two visitors today, and of course we wish them well in their continuing work. As you came in, you would have received a sheet, Human Rights Abuses in Thailand, which tells you about some of the work that's going on and the reasons for that work. And there's an email address at the end if you want to continue to be involved with the work of the campaign. So once again, can I thank our speakers, can I thank you all for coming along, and thank, of course, the organisers of today's event. I wish you all well in your work related to human rights, wherever they may be, whichever country, whoever it is we're talking about, people's rights to live in dignified lives and to live in the knowledge that they can influence what goes on around them. It's absolutely hugely important, as we know, and for many, many people that doesn't come automatically. So thank you very much for coming along. Thank you for the work you continue to do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As I know that probably there are also some people that can talk with the Thai institutions. I want to renew them to work to give us as soon as possible and to really make us think that they are working very hard for the truth. And this is to give us an important sign that really make us understand that they are really working on these cases. That's what this is one occasion also to ask the Thai, to the government to work on all that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm really sorry that you've frozen. Yes.
Okay. My name is Kwanravi Wangudom. I work for People's Information Center, the April to May 2010. Our task is to conduct fact-finding and also gather the information relating to the crackdown. And we also provide legal assistance for those in need. And the reason that I'm here is that I got invited by the House of Lords to speak about the human rights situation in Thailand.
If I could just get you to say from the top again the question like I'm in the House of Lords or I've been invited to the House of Lords, just say that part again.
I have been invited to the House of Lords to speak about the human rights situation in Thailand with regards to the crackdowns in May and April 2010.
Your role is basically to keep to gather the information. Has it been difficult to gather information in Thai authorities?
Yes, because right after the crackdown, the government still imposed the emergency decree, even though they just lifted the decree in December, but now they still imposed the Internal Security Act, which restricted the freedom of expression of the people. So it's difficult for the people to give us the information because we're still living in climate of fear. And also, we also recognize our limitations in getting the information from the sides of the soldiers, even though we were mostly trusted by the red shirts.
Can you just elaborate a little bit just on the living life, the fear that you mentioned still living in fear? Can you just elaborate a little bit?
Right after the crackdown, the government tried to talk about reconciliation and for the society to move on. But at the same time, the government still imposed the emergency decree, which restricted the freedom of expression, freedom of media. The government still continued to censorship certain media, especially the red shirts media.
That's brilliant. And can I just get you to explain what you sort of hope today to bring about, like what you hope to achieve today?
Well, I'm here to speak before the British audience to ask them to do anything that they can help to put pressure on the Thai government to be held accountable for what happened during the crackdown in May and April in 2010.
Do you have the information gathered? Do you have an official figure of those who have died and those injured?
The figures? Yeah. According to our information, there were 92 people got killed and more than 2,000 people got injured. Among them, 6 of them were state officials, including soldiers and military and police. And 6 of them were the professionals, including medics and journalists. The rest were civilians, mostly unarmed.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much about why everyone's gathered here.
It's very difficult to answer in English, but I try. I'm trying to understand if it's possible to take higher the attention on problem about photographers and journalists that are killing I think now it's like 2 or 3 each month in the world. So and it's very important, and I feel that the government are not working enough to take care about this problem. And I think Fabio, as a freelance, need to have a very big importance on giving information around the world. And now his death needs to be an help for who is still alive and who is going to do the same job. So to care about people that we need to know what's going on around the world. And so today I hope that this will help to increase the attention on these problems.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for all the images and stuff you sent through to make the we're allowed to. You literally just want to get something loose to say. I mean, just a few little details. Is there anywhere which only in here? What about on the...
out there's a tower with red coat.
We've got a load of stuff without the stock. Baby's bags, we can use some of that as well.
There's a couple of GVs there anyway, well established.
I thought we were going to be with the big ones.
This could be a film about architecture in the UK. Famous British architects.